I keep sending you those things about the sign, and then you keep sending me. I had another one. I was like, I'm gonna do it again just to see if I get.
Has more to talk about.
Yeah, well, exactly. I go first, and then you do all the talking you want, mister. Yeah.
The hour of 6:30 having come and gone 3 minutes ago, I will call to order the Common Council meeting of Tuesday, October 25th, 2022, and ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. President Furman. Alder Furman is present. 17th is vacant. Alder Harrington McKinney.
Harrington McKinney here.
Harrington McKinney is present. Alder Heck. Here. Alder Heck is present. Alder Maadzi. Alder Maadzi is present. Alder Paulson.
Here.
Alder Paulson is present. Alder Fair is excused. Alder Tischler.
Here.
Alder Tischler is present. Alder Verveer.
Present virtually, I believe.
Alder Vitever. Alder Vitever is present. Alder Wahelia. Here. Wahelia is present. Alder Abbas.
Present.
Alder Abbas is present. Alder Benford. I see Alder Benford on virtually. Alder Bennett is excused. Alder Carter. I see Alder Carter virtually as well. Alder Conklin. Alder Conklin.
Present.
Thank you. Alder Conklin is present. Alder Curry is excused. Alder Evers.
Here.
Alder Evers is present. Alder Figueroa Cole.
Here.
Alder Figueroa Cole is present. Alder Foster.
Here.
Alder Foster is present. Madam Mayor, we have a quorum.
Excellent, thank you very much. So as usual, I will remind us that we are here to do the business of the residents Madison, to please refrain from profanity and assume good intent and be kind to each other in that process. And per council procedures, address your comments to the chair. We have a number of folks on Zoom tonight, so I would just ask alders to try and keep your cameras on if you can, so that we know that you are there. I don't think we're worried about quorum, but just in case. Our first item of business is Legistar 740101, appointing Sabrina Madison as alderperson for District 17 to serve until the spring 2023 election. President Furman. It's moved and seconded to approve. Are there questions for the appointee? Or is there discussion? Seeing none, is there any objection to recording unanimous vote in favor? Seeing no objection, we'll record a unanimous vote in favor, and we will proceed to the swearing in. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You can raise your right hand, but you don't have to.
Okay, I'll raise it.
Do you, Sabrina Madison, solemnly affirm that you will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin, and the Charter of the City of Madison, and will perform the duties of Common Council member in and for the 17th Aldermanic District, the City of Madison, to the best of your ability?
I did.
Outstanding. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And
I'm sorry, can you make sure I can...
I was supposed to give all the
We'll catch you later.
no, you can make it happen now. Yeah, do it now. That's fine. We have a moment. This only happens once.
My bad. I was like so ready to just work.
And get the clerk in there with the oath and the whole deal.
Oh, yeah. I did so much.
This is fun.
Because this is Alder Madison's first council meeting, I may take a moment and explain pieces of our agenda as needed, but Alder Madison, feel free to ask questions throughout. And so you can weigh in using your little button to ask to speak on the microphone, and ask for a point of clarification if you need one. All right, so that brings us to disclosures and recusals on today's agenda. This is where alders would disclose any conflicts of interests or any items that they need to recuse themselves from voting on. Are there any disclosures or recusals? Alder Benford.
I'd like to be noted as abstaining on agenda item number 34. I'm an employee of the UW-Madison Odyssey project.
Thank you, Alder. We'll note you. Alder Paulson?
Yes, I'm checking in item number 6, the resident committee appointments that we're taking action on tonight. I just want to disclose that Samuel Fritz did work for, when he was employed by Foley, did work for me on several patent cases. It doesn't affect my ability to vote for him for the Zoning Board of Appeals.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Are there any other disclosures or recusals? Alder Vitever?
Disclose on.
Hold on, Alder. Sorry. There you go.
Okay, on items 33 and 40, I am an employee of the Department of Health Services, Division of Public Health.
Thank you, Alder. Any other disclosures or recusals on tonight's agenda? All right, seeing none. Unless there's objection, I'd like to take up item 41 at this time, out of order. Item 41 is a confirmation hearing. Is there any objection? Seeing no objection. Item 41 is Legistar 74113, submitting the appointment of James Wolf for confirmation of a 5-year term as the city engineer. Mr. Wolf is here with us virtually. Thank you for joining us, Jim, and congratulations on the birth of your son. Motion, President Furman.
Move adoption.
Is there a second? It's moved and seconded to adopt. Are there questions for Mr. Wolf? Seeing none, is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, is there any objection to recording an enthusiastic vote in favor unanimously? No objection, we'll record that vote. Congratulations, Jim, and thank you again for being here, and congratulations to JoJo as well. And yes, we want to see the baby.
I can bring him by quick. He's just getting a little upset. But here's Oliver. It's getting about time for him to be. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Jim.
Have a good night.
All right. Thank you all for indulging new parents and taking that out of order. Our next item of business is the presentation of the consent agenda. President Furman.
A consent agenda is moved with a recommended action listed for each item on the agenda, including public hearings, except 1, items which have registrants wishing to speak, 2, items which alders have separated out for discussion/debate purposes. The following items are extra majority items. Extra majority vote items will be recorded as unanimous votes unless a roll call or exclusion is requested. Agenda item 33, legislative file number 74068, funds from the State of Wisconsin Department of Health Services to support the Madison Forward Fund and authorizing a non-competitive contract, 15 votes required. Agenda item 39, legislative file 74138, substitute, authorizing an amendment to the contract between the City of Madison and Benevit Inc. related to the Federal Emergency Rental Assistance Fund and the 2022 Community Development Division operating budget, 15 votes required. Agenda item 40, legislative file 74189, amending the 2020 public health operating budget to expand syringe services and harm reduction, 15 votes required. Agenda items part of the consent agenda with additional recommendations as noted. Agenda item 28, legislative file 72638, ordinance changes to add protections for building code complainants. This is the report of the Board of Equal Opportunities Commission. It's an agenda correction, and the recommended action is to adopt a substitute. Agenda item with recommendations made from the floor. Agenda item 14, legislative file 74024, approving and adopting an updated policy for assessing street improvements citywide. Transportation Policy Planning Board recommended action is approval. Agenda items excluded by 1, request of alders, or 2, due to speakers registered by 6:30 p.m. on October 25th. Agenda item 4, legislative file 74149, Hammersley Road Resurfacing Assessment District, 10th Aldermanic District, speakers registered. Agenda item 5, legislative file number 73845, the 2023 Executive Operating Budget, speakers registered. Items introduced from the floor for referral. These items are excluded from the consent agenda pursuant to MGO 2.055. Legislative file number 74324, a resolution authorizing the mayor and city clerk to enter into a non-competitive 1-year service contract with 2 optional 2-year renewal terms with National Testing Network, Inc. as a consultant for the firefighters applicant process. This will have a referral to the Finance Committee on 10/31 and come back to the Common Council on 11/1.
All right, we're not quite there yet, but thank you. Appreciate it. One additional thing on item 28, unless there is objection, there's a technical change in the item 9 sub K. The last word of was struck, and it should not be. So if you look into the Legistar file, it's a very minor change. Unless there's objection, we'll take that as part of the consent agenda. Seeing no objection, we'll take that as part of the consent agenda. All right, are there any other exclusions from the consent agenda that are requested tonight? Seeing none, we'll just go through that once more to make sure that we're all on the same page. We will record a unanimous vote on the following extra majority items. That's number 33, 39, and 40. On item 28, the recommendation is to adopt the substitute with the change that I noted. On item 14, the recommendation is approval. And we are excluding items 4 and 5 and introducing an item from the floor for referral. Are there any additional items for the consent agenda? Seeing none now, a motion would be in order.
Move adoption of the consent agenda.
Thank you, Alder. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any objection to recording unanimous vote in favor? Seeing no objection, we'll record a unanimous vote in favor of the consent agenda. And we will go on to item 4, which is Legistar 74149, approving plan specifications and a schedule of assessments for Hammersley Road Resurfacing Assessment District 2024. President Furman.
Mayor, we should take public comment for all items first.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. I'm stuck in my ways. Thank you, Alder. Instead of going to item 4, we will go to public comment. And our first item for public comment is item 4. And we have one registrant wishing to speak, Patricia Richardson from District 10. Do we have Patricia either in the room or on the Zoom?
Patricia, you should have a prompt to unmute.
There you go. Patricia, I see you on the Zoom, but you have to unmute yourself. There should be a prompt on your computer that allows you to unmute yourself. If not, is there any objection if we go on, since Patricia's the only registrant on item 4, that we go on to our registrant on item 5 and come back to Patricia? Any objection? Seeing no objection, we will go on to item 5. We have one registrant wishing to speak, Larissa Joanna of District 2. Do we have Larissa on the Zoom or in the room?
There's no one by that name in the Zoom.
Don't see Larissa in the room. President Furman?
Mayor, there are people registered with phone numbers. Perhaps we tell them to raise their hand if it is that registrant.
Larissa, if you are here on the phone, if you're able to raise your hand, tech staff, what is it to press to raise your hand on Zoom?
Star 9, I think.
So if
Star. Oh, looks like Patricia's raising her hand.
Yep. Patricia, you should have a prompt to unmute yourself. Larissa, if you are one of the phone numbers that's dialing in, please try pressing star 9 so we know that it's you. Normally, I would not be this loose with public comment, but since there's literally only 2 people wishing to give public comment tonight, I think we can indulge. And I'm not sure we're going to get either of them. Patricia, since we know you're here, if you are able to find the prompt to unmute yourself, please do so. We can't unmute you on our side, I don't believe. We can only ask you to unmute. Tech staff, I'm not sure if there's anything else we can do.
Sorry, there isn't.
Patricia, the prompt might be hidden under another window that's open. But since we can't unmute you and it doesn't seem like you can unmute yourself, I think we are going to have to move on. And I'm not seeing that either of the folks on the phone have raised their hands or indicated that they are registered to speak on an item. And tech staff, I don't know if you can see in the background if either of those numbers matches up with a registrant.
They do not.
Okay. All right, well, given the technical difficulties, is there any objection from the council to moving on? All right, seeing no objection, apologies, Patricia. I encourage you to email all alders at cityofmadison.com with your comments, since we can't seem to overcome the technical difficulties. And so then now that will bring us to item 4, which is Legistar 74149. President Furman.
Move adoption.
It's moved and seconded to adopt. Are there questions for staff on item 4? Alder Vitever.
Just a very quick question, and that is will this project be subject to what we're about to vote on, or what we've already voted on, excuse me, in the consent agenda with the new assessment policy?
So we could take that question either here or under the assessment policy, since this is the one that's off the consent agenda. We'll take it here. And I'm wondering if we have staff from engineering who want to speak to when the new assessment policy takes effect. I'm not seeing an obvious person. Christy, I don't know if you can pinch hit on this one. Oh, there we go. Go ahead, Chris.
Thanks. So the policy is getting, or just got approved on the consent agenda. However, this particular project would be able to utilize the older policy if it so benefited the residents, and in this case it does. So this particular project would use the older policy when it gets finalized next year.
Thank you, Chris. Any further questions for staff on item 4? Seeing none, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any objection to recording a unanimous vote of approval? Seeing no objection, we'll record that vote. That takes us to item 5. President Furman.
Move referral to the 10/31/2022 meeting of the Finance Committee.
The motion is to refer. It's been moved and seconded. Are there questions or discussion? Seeing none, is there any objection to recording unanimous vote in favor of referral? Seeing no objection, that item is referred. That is the end of items that are excluded. Are there any other introductions from the floor? Seeing none, President Furman, it's your turn.
Mayor, I believe I do need to, do I need to do the introduction that I had in the consent agenda from the floor again? Do we need a motion for that, or are we?
Well, last time we didn't, so I don't know. Attorney Haas?
Check the rules.
Alder Paulson, you want to weigh in on this one?
No, actually, I was just gonna, did we pass 4? I'm sorry, I completely missed it.
As long as the clerk has it, we're okay.
I believe we determined if it was by the sponsor, it did not have to be separately introduced. Yeah, I believe that's what we.
Move adjournment.
Alder Vitever will second adjournment. Is there any objection to recording a unanimous vote in favor of adjournment? Seeing no objection, we stand adjourned, and how about a round of applause for our new alder?